All right, folks, so there are some books that are like art, and with time they gain value, which can mean a lot of cash in your pocket if you decide to sell it. But overall, you should be taking care of your books regardless. The senior librarian at Jamaica Library Service, Melony Leitch, is here to make max the lifespan of your books. Good morning.
Good morning,
Welcome
Neville.
to Smile Jamaica.
Thank you for having me.
So, I mean, to have the book, when you just read the book and put it down, I'm all right.
No, Neville. In these times when resources are scarce, you have to make sure that you protect your books and keep them as long as possible.
Yeah, but I protect them. I don't read it and I just put it down.
Well, there are some simple things that I would want to guide you on. You want to make sure that you avoid eating.
All right, hold on. Don't go so fast because I could take it one at a time. We have some headlines here. Handling your book. It's always wash your hands before handling your book.
Always wash your hands.
Why?
Because as you know, I mean, you're touching different places, and I mean, you probably would have had some food to eat and things like that. The grease and stuff that would touch the pages can deteriorate those pages over time.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that your hands are clean before you touch the book.
By the way, a book is supposed to last a lifetime?
Well, it can if you preserve it properly, and if you use the relevant preservation methods, they can last a lifetime.
Avoid eating or drinking while reading your book.
Avoid eating and drinking. Why never? Because, you know, sometimes you're drinking, things happen. So if you have a spill, it can be a permanent damage to that book. If you have things greasy, it can actually erase the text that is on those books. So you have to make sure that you don't eat.
Yeah, but Miss Melony, if I'm at home and I read the book, I'm comfortable.
You are comfortable.
Well, I'm cut my pen and I read my book. I mean, I'm a drink beside me, I'm take a sip and put it back down.
You're comfortable, but good sense must prevail.
So I shouldn't be doing that?
If you really value that book, you would wait until you finish eating or drinking before you touch the book any at all.
Remove the book from the shelf by the middle of the spine.
Remove it from the middle of the spine.
So the book would be like this?
Yes. So it will be upright like this.
And if I want to, that goes so?
No, you don't do that, because what you will do is to damage the spine of the book. So you want to make sure that you remove it from the middle, so that when you take off the book from the shelf or wherever you have it, it is protected, safe.
What will happen if I do it this way? So
it will damage the spine of the book. So this is the spine, you know, as humans, we have our spine. This is critical to the makeup of the book. And so if you remove it like this, then you have a possible damage to the spine of the book.
Did you know,
and the pages.
on a side, they say the same thing about your glasses. Like you shouldn't remove the glasses like that. You see? So it kind of turn. So you're supposed to either do it like that or like that.
Oh.
Believe it or not. So it's kind of the same thing.
The same thing, right.
Beautiful. Use a flat bookmark to mark your place. Now look at this. This is what you don't want, right?
Right, that is what you don't want. And because, as we are going back again to the spine, if you use something that is heavy, it has a possibility to damage the spine of the book and to damage the pages in the book. So you have to make sure that you have a thin bookmark that you can use to go back, you know, to whenever you're reading.
So you don't want to?
That you go back. You don't want to bend the pages. You don't want to put in another book. You don't want to do things like that. You want to make sure that you preserve the books as much as possible. And in our libraries, that is what we teach our staff, and that is what we teach the users who come into the library, because we want to make sure that the resources are there and they last for a time so that others can benefit.
It makes sense. Position your book upright.
Position upright.
And it says with similarly sized books. So I mustn't put this one beside that one.
No, because what it will do now, it will, the amount of pages that is in this book will, in a sense, impact this one. So the heavier books will pretty much damage the smaller ones. So it's equal in size, equal in weight. So you want to make sure that you shelve them in similar order.
So don't do this.
You don't do that. In our libraries, though, because we have certain standards and we have certain methods of shelving, we want to make sure that they're shelved in a particular order, so that when you come into the library, you're able to access those books wherever, based on the subject that you would want.
Keep your book out of direct sunlight.
Keep it out of direct sunlight.
Why?
Because we are going again. In these times, a lot of persons are using material. Well, some persons are using material that are not lasting. And you find that if it is not sturdy enough, if it doesn't have the quality paper or binding, that if you keep it in the sunlight, pages can get brown. And after that, they get brittle. And then that's it for your book. So you wouldn't want to invest in something like that and, you know, in a short period, you're out of that book.
All right,
So you want to make sure you observe all of those.
all right, we have 3 more we're going to go through. Dust your book every month or 2. That makes sense.
Yes, you
wipe
have to
off the
dust it
yeah.
because those dust over time will impact the content.
But it's no always dust your book from the spine outward to prevent dust from collecting in the spine.
And you notice we're making a lot of reference to the spine because the spine is very important
Keeps it
to
together.
a book. So it keeps it together. So if you dust this way, then what it would mean is that all of those particles will then over time go into the spine, and then you find that the spine gets deteriorated, and once that happens, then
So
that
which
will
way
be
you
it
must
for your
dust?
book. So you dust it this way.
You
You dust it this way, so to make sure that you know all of those, the dust really gets out and it doesn't get to the spine of the book, which will damage it over
I
time.
like your big thing, you know. Avoid repairing torn pages with tape.
Avoid repairing. There are actually specific tapes that you have. So they are the archival tapes
Okay.
that doesn't have the kind of residue that a normal tape would have. So if something should happen to a book that you have, you want to make sure that you don't use a sellotape or you don't use the masking tape. As a matter of fact, some people use duct tapes. So you want to make sure that you use archival tape, which will protect the pages, because over time, when you use regular sellotapes, the glue that is on that tape will deteriorate your paper. So you want to make sure that you use the archival tapes, which is specific to preserving the book that you
Can
have.
just go in a store and buy archival tape?
Well, yes, there are some stores actually do sell them, so
Okay.
you can get them to purchase.
Fantastic. Final one, place a protective cover on your book.
Place a protective cover, because what that does, I mean, a lot of students know when they purchase their books, they wrap them, and that is just to preserve the lasting effect that the book you can get from that book. So you want to make sure that you cover the book, keep it clean, not just in preserving the book, but you want your book to be presentable. And if you value it that much, you want to care and
I don't want you
protect
to get
it.
yourself in trouble, but are they making books as sturdy and as strong as they used to?
I would say no for some persons. And the fact that when you have those quality books, you have to pay a little more for them.
Okay.
But when you're doing mass production of books, some persons really don't have the money, and so they use cheap materials. So you have the pages, the paper is not so good, so even when they go on the bookshelves, then they brown easily.
Yeah.
And that is what you really don't want. Even if you have a new book, there's something that is called breaking a new book. You can't just open the book like that when it's new, because of that same reason. The quality of the makeup of the book is not that good. So you want to break in the book. You take your time, you open, you press. You open, you press to make sure that you have that book for life as you can.
Melony, you know your stuff still. I like to read people. You know your stuff.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Neville. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, you know your stuff. I'm impressed. The senior librarian at the Jamaica Library Service, Melony Leitch. And if you go down and tell her you see her on TV, she will just tell you how to fix your book. Stay with us to find out how to help children cope with grief. Soon come. See you.